Hello, you all. It's Agnes coming to you with a set that I've got a while back, but I've never used. And this is some sort of like a salt water effect. So I thought, why don't I just try, on my pickle jar. So I do have first part. It is the vintage effect wash that supposedly make my jar cloudier. So I am applying it all around, and it seems like I've added too much. But you know what? Again, we're learning. It's a learning process. So I'm just going to try to scoop all around and distribute as good as I can and make sure that I do not have those streaks. I'd love to be your guinea pig. So I'm just going to distribute it all as I can, the best as I can. But it really, for this project, what I have in mind, it doesn't matter. So now I go back to my molds. You know, I love me some molds and I love me to bring some details. So I'm just going to squirt my hot glue, shake it as I do it, make sure that all the little details are filled in, and move on to another step. So here is another step to my pickle jar makeover is the texture sand. So that was another bottle in that little set that I decided to add to some areas of my jar that it's sort of dried and it's okay looking. So it's again, I'm not painting it, I'm just dabbing here and there. And as I'm looking at it, yes, you can create your own. This is literally a little bit of most likely a Mod Podge like substance with some paint and of course sand or baking soda, either way. So I'm just going to dab it in some areas and just wanted to make it look like it was eaten up by ocean. Okay, so that is added. It's again gotta dry. So now I need to work on my molds that we just filled in. And I do wanted to paint them with my chalk paint white because obviously I already have a finish on my jar and I do not want to do a painting on such a small pieces. So I do have a roses here that I've filled in. So I'm going to do the same thing and I'm going to paint around all the areas. And of course, oh, this one was not filled properly, but that's okay. We can always put it together. So what I always say is that all depends on the project you are working with. Just because I do have that cloudy finish on my jar, I do not want to paint because it would have taken so long and I most likely would have not stayed in lines. So I'm just adding some color to the pieces that I filled in my silicone molds. And for some reason, it seems like I did not record that portion. So what I've done here was, after I painted with the chalk paint, I painted my roses, again, dabbed my roses and all the pieces that I had with a little bit of the gray all around the white right there. So now I'm just trying to get some kind of shading. And the reason why I'm doing it is because I know a lot of you do not have a wax, that it's for sure easier to achieve that little shading. But I'm going to show you and actually try myself to see if the acrylic paint will do the same thing. So notice what I'm doing it. I'm not trying to make my dark gray into the light gray. All what I'm trying to do is just distribute on some high points of my molds that darker color. So I'm using a little bit of the brush that's obviously dry and without no color, and then of course some action of the paper towel to keep those darker portions of gray right in its corners. Course, you can adjust all those shading as as much as you want by simply adding, like I'm doing it right now, here and there darker colors on the edges or lighter color. I mean, you adjust it to your likings, but I do like that cooler version. Oh, see, here is this container that I was using. So all what I'm doing right now is adding that gray, darker gray to the edges and distributing even more. I actually do like that little action. Okay, so now it's time to see if I can add a little bit of the color to the sand that it's dried on it. And it's again, I'm using exactly the same colors. And notice I dab into my container where there is a paint, wipe it off on my paper towels, and I just completely go into dabbing mode right where I applied sand. And of course, I do want to add in some areas a little bit higher than the sand was. I just want to look completely old. So I'm just having fun over here. But again, it's important to dry your, sort of dab your brush after you dip into paint onto the paper towels before you move on to your actual project. So see, I do love it. It does look super vintage. I cannot wait to see when all this dries, how is that going to look. I mean, see, now I'm going straight from the container because I do want to have that dark elements right on it. Love it, love it, love it. And even my streaks on the first coat do not look that bad. Okay, so now it seems like everything is drying too slow. So guess what? I'm bringing my heat tool and I'm just going to dry it out because I do wanted to see what else we can do with it. Guess what? I did have a lace laying around my area. So I thought, you know what? Hey, look how it looks pretty good. So here I go. Decision is made. I'm going just to cut the, piece of my lace and adjust. And, obviously, I'm not going to worry if I follow the pattern because I have molds, remember. So I'm just going to hot glue them and really figure all my project as it goes. So, yeah, and I think I am going to still use molds right on it. But let's just see how that looks. Seems like my connection is not going to work. Plus I did scrub off a little bit of that first coat on it. So guess what? This is where the front of my jar going to be. So that means is I am going to hide the little bubbles I've created because I was trying to finish this project, just learning process fast. So I was not really waiting long for all it to dry. So I'm just going to start adding the little pieces of the molds all around my jar and obviously hold it really tight. And of course, get all the pieces adjusted. So now I do have that little trim that I do wanted to add on the top of the lace. I forgot about it. So as you can see, it was short. So I decided to just simply randomly start to install it on the back and move my pieces of the mold right to the edge of it because I do not want to make the connections. So guess what? We will be having fun right now. I guess again I was not recording all of it, but as you can see is I've added 3 elements of those bigger roses right to the edge of the trim I was just installing to cover my to meet so it looks like one united piece. And I actually do love it. Now I'm playing around with the edge of my jar to see if it's needed. I do not know if you watched my smushed can project. That was the same molds that I've used, and I've actually had so much fun. So guess what? I'm going to have another planter or maybe some kind of organizer for myself. But I do love to experiment. So now everything is dry. This is actually the next day. Everything is dry, so I decided to add some gold. And it's again, I do have the gilding wax, but I do wanted to use now rub and buff that I have, and most likely a lot of you have. And again, I brought the paintbrush, and I scooped a little bit on my brush, wiped it off on my paper towels because I do not want it to have too much of a gold on it. And I just went to town with it, and again highlighted some areas, some little details, some scent that it's on my jar. Absolutely love it. I do got to touch up the little bit of a rim, but you know what, that's later. Let me just show you how this looks. So here is the jar we were just working on. Absolutely love it. I love the little details and the little hues of the gold right on it. It fits perfectly. Oh my goodness, check this one out. What a fun project to make. But it's again, I was approved that you could actually use the paint and rub and buff, or even the gold paint in place of other elements that I've used in my project. So I really hope that I inspired you, and I really hope that you're going to get your pickle jar. Oh, here I need to fix this a little bit because obviously the top is not done. I may actually put another mold right there instead of painting. It's again, I so hope that you did enjoy this project, and I so hope that you're going to try. And if you do like to have more information about those molds, make sure to comment up down below. Again, thanks for watching. Talk to you later. Bye.